Hello guys, today I'm going to bring you a guide on the 6-piece generator monk with the insights that I've collected so far for this season 8 patch 2.4.2. I started playing the generator monk in season 8, so my knowledge about the build was really low. I searched around but couldn't find the information that I needed to reach what I've achieved. Currently I closed 110 on the 4-player leaderboard and 96 on the solo leaderboard, what puts me on a respective rank 5 in Europe. Let's start with the gear. So for this build to work, you need the 6-piece raiment of 1000 storms. That means the gloves, shoulders, head, chest, legs and the boots. Then you also need the Shenlong's relentless sword and you need the Shenlong's fist of legend. Then for the jewelry, you need the stone of Jolan, you need the traveler's pledge and you need the compass rose. As your ideal build, you're gonna use the witching hour with 7 attack speed. That's really important. Later more to that. Then you're gonna use the spirit guards. Your cube is going to be the flying dragon, the death diggers and the convention of elements. You're always gonna use these items if you're doing group play. So let's start with the stats. On your weapons you want attack speed, you want percent damage and you want dexterity. Then you want maximum spirit as the secondary. The same counts for your other weapon. You want attack speed, ideal 7, you want 10% damage, you want as much as dexterity as you can, and you want maximum spirit. On your gloves, you want attack speed, crit, dex, and secondary resistances. On your shoulders, you want dex, wit. You can go for either all resist or all resist area damage. You can go for area damage cooldown. It just depends on the rolls of your shoulders, but I'm going to stick with this because they're pretty decent rolled. The shoulders are the only item where you don't want secondary resistance because they can't roll on this, since the shoulders always roll with all resistance. For your head you want dex with crit chance, secondary resistance and socket. For your neck you want elemental damage, in this case it's fire. Then you want critical hit chance, critical hit damage, secondary resistance and socket. For your spirit guards you want fire damage, dex, wit, crit, secondary resistance, and the passive, the orange text, should roll as high as you can get it. It rolls from 30 to 40% and it's really mandatory to get a high roll. I didn't manage to find decent ones with 40%, so I'm sticking to this because they are really well rolled with 210 physical resistance. On your Stone of Jordan, you want fire damage, crit chance or crit range, that damage range, that means like 101 to 202 damage. Then you want secondary resistance and you want the maximum spirit. On your compass rose, you want either crit damage range, or you want crit attack speed, or the ideal is crit attack speed, damage range and socket, but that's really hard to get and I couldn't manage to get one myself. On your witching hour you want attack speed, high critical hit damage, dexterity or vitality, like in this example. You can also go with vitality, it's not a shame. And then you want crippling wave damage, and of course secondary resistance, what this doesn't have. On your legs, you want as well dex with crippling wave damage and high secondary resistance. On your boots, you want, in the best case, dex with armor, movement speed, and of course as well the secondary resistance. As far as the talents go, your bread and butter is crippling wave with Mangle. This is the best option. You're always gonna use this for any damage you do. Then when you're playing, I'm first gonna cover the solo build. So if you're playing solo, you're gonna go with Cyclone Strike Implosion, because Implosion gives you a huge pull radius and it helps you group mob groups really fast. Then you go with Dashing Strike Radiance. Radiance is in my opinion the best choice because you have a really tight attack speed cap that you need to serve. If you're going with Blinding Speed, it's another viable choice. You gain 40% dodge chance, but in my opinion it's not worth it because the attack speed is just too good for the generator build. Then you want For solo, either Way of the 100 Fists with Assimilation, it just depends on your preferences, or you want Epiphany with Desert Shroud. If you play Epiphany with Desert Shroud, you're gonna need a lot of cooldown on your gear, so more to that later. Then you use Breath of Heaven with Infuse with Light. This is really mandatory because it helps you to fill your Spirit Globe up again, and Spirit is your main damage source. It's comparable with the Unhollowed Essence set from the Demon Hunter, where Discipline gives you damage as well. Then for solo you're gonna go with Mantra of Salvation and Agility, because it's the most common mantra. It gives you a lot of EHP. And overall it's just the best choice. Then for the passives, you go with Seize the Initiative for the crazy attack speed boost. Then you go with Exalted Soul. Even if you're running Assimilation at least. If you're running Epiphany, you go with Beacon of Ether to give you even more cooldown reduction, because Epiphany has a crazy high cooldown. And you should manage to get it at least to like 25 seconds cooldown, so you only have 10 seconds downtime when you are doing solo. That helps you dealing a lot more damage, because your downtime is lower when you can fight the packs, and it just feels better to have it up way more frequently. Then the third passive is gonna be Harmony. It's a totally broken passive that gives you 40% of your single elemental resistance on every other resistance. That means when I have like 2100 physical resistance right now, and this is only through my secondary resistances on my items. The secondary resistance on your items are really important. You should try to get it on every item. Then the fourth passive is gonna be Alacrity, because it just increases your attack speed of your spirit generators, and that's just crazy. When you are going for my build that I'm playing, you exchange Epiphany with Way of the 100 Fists Assimilation, and you exchange Beacon of Ether either with Exalted Soul for the maximum spirit, what gives you even more damage and spirit regeneration, or you can also go with the Guardian's Path. I cleared my 96 with the Guardian's Path because I feel like sometimes you just get one-shotted, and this just helps you to survive a lot. Sometimes, even if you're using the Guardian's Path, when you are unlucky with the dodging, you can just die in 1 second, but it's rarely, so I'm fine with that. For the solo, when you go to the cube, you're gonna use the Ring of Royal Grandeur, then you're gonna use the Lefebvre's Shoulders, because of the Sacred Strike. It gives you a huge HP boost, because you can also have like a lot more toughness, you know. Then when you're going for solo, you're gonna exchange the Stone of Jordan for the Unity, because it doubles your healing, it halves the damage that you take, so it's really good. For solo, you're gonna run String of Ears, because it's, in my opinion, the best belt. Even if you're going like really high, if you're going like 96 plus or 94 plus even, you're gonna need damage reduction from the String of Ears. Another viable choice is on Witching Hour with Vitality, with attack speed, crit and crippling wave damage, and of course secondary resistance. But I feel like the String of Ears gives me the most reliable deed, so I'm staying with the String of Ears. As far as your weapons go for solo, you're gonna go with area damage, life on hit, on one of them. On the other one, you want area damage cooldown or area damage attack speed. It just depends all on your talent choice. If you're going with Assimilation, you don't need the cooldown reduction, so I choose to go with attack speed instead of the cooldown. If you're going with Epiphany, you should try to get both weapons with area damage and cooldown reduction, because you don't need the life on hit if you're using the Epiphany. As far as your gems go, you're gonna go with Bane of the Stricken. It's an insane gem. It just increases your damage by each attack you do, in my case right now by 1.92%. It's absolutely mandatory. You're never gonna swap out this gem. Then you go with Simplicity Strength. It just multiplies your primary damage, which is all your main damage source, and it heals you for 4% of your maximum health. That's the main source of your healing if you're running Epiphany. Then you go with Bane of the Trap. The secondary procs the main. It's just totally broken gem. You're gonna use it all the time. and that covers jewelry as well. So when we are going for the group build, you're gonna use the Raymond shoulders, and therefore you're gonna swap out the Ring of Royal Grandeur for the Convention of Elements. And your talent should look like this. You switch your Mantra of Salvation to Mantra of Retribution with Transgression, because it gives you more attack speed. Then you go with Exalted Soul, then you swap out the Cyclone Strike for Serenity with Scansion, because it helps you surviving huge damage spikes like Grotesques or Molten or stuff like that. And you really get one-shot by anything above like 105. It's really insane. When I go for like 90 speeds, so then I'm going to use Epiphany with Desert Shot, because it just helps me to get more mobility, and it also gives me a higher spirit regeneration. But it's all personal preferences, so you don't really need to use that. To cover the follower, I'm going to use the Freeze of Deflection, because it has a chance of 1.2% to freeze the enemy when your Templar blocks. Then you have the Overwhelming Desire. It has a chance to charm the enemy, and while charmed they take 35% increased damage. Of course, the Unity, to just halve all the damage that you take. And there's another ring, the Oculus ring. You really should check that you roll them as high as possible. The range is from 70 to 85%. And whenever this little circle spawns, it's like a little glowing circle. You should try to stand in it as much as possible, because it's just a huge damage increase. And it's really mandatory in order to clear high G rifts. Then I'm running with the Thunder Fury, because it gives my Templar the ability to cleave the targets, and that procs your Oculus ring even more. And I'm rolling attack speed on everything, because it helps proccing your Oculus ring. Then I'm running with the Relic. Your Templar cannot die, pretty obvious, because if your Templar dies, your Unity is useless. Then as far as the Paragons go, unless you're a Paragon 800, or what I think you should be if you're pushing seriously, you're gonna go here in the utility, first for the area damage, then you go for the life on hit, and the other ones don't really matter, you don't need them. In the defense, you go for armor first, then you go for life, then you go for all resist, and then you go for life regeneration. In your offensive tab, you go for attack speed first, then you go for critical hit chance equal with critical hit damage, then you go for cooldown reduction. And in your core Paragons, you go for maximum spirit first, instantly cap this out, then you go for movement speed. I've got 11 movement speed on my boots, so that means I need 14 in my Paragons. The maximum movement speed is 25%. Then you can put some points in vitality depending on your current HP. I'm running like 600k when I'm doing 90s, that's totally enough, I'm totally fine with that. Even if you die once or twice in a rift, you're the Gen Monk. Don't do all the work for the Witch Dock, you know? And then, last, you go all points in Dexterity, because it just increases your damage like crazy. It's really good. And Dexterity is an extremely high damage source. Then, you're gonna go for the Flying Dragon procs. My attack speed right now on my main hand is 2.23 attacks per second, on my offhand is 2.21. That's because I only have 6 attack speed on my offhand, what's a little bit sad, but whatsoever, I can't find a better one. And this is really good. So, when you're using your Dashing Strike Radiance, you're gonna proc your 15% increased attack speed. That sets me on 2.46 and 2.43. The maximum attack speed for the Generator Monk is 5 attacks per second. So, when you proc your Flying Dragon, then you just straight go up to 5 APS. If it would proc now. Then you have talent, Seize the Initiative. It's a really, really misused talent in my opinion. It says dealing damage to enemies above 75% life increases your attack speed by 30% for 4 seconds. Yeah, it's a really strong talent, but a lot of people when they are pushing solo for example, they are doing the mistake that they just stay with like 1 pack or even 2 packs and they don't have any mob that is above 75% health. And you should always check to make sure that you have at least 1 minion that you can cleave with to proc Seize the Initiative, because it's an extremely strong talent. and it really helps you to increase your damage and maximize your playing dragon uptime. Then as far as the gems go, you can go with the Orisis gems. They are the most popular because they are really solid and you need a lot of toughness when you're playing Generator Monk. The build itself is really squishy. And when you're going for your secondaries, for example this chest, it has dex width, elite damage reduction, what is really good. You should always try to roll elite damage reduction on your chest. You should also try to get like the special secondaries, like reduce damage from melee attacks or reduce damage from range attacks. Besides your secondary resistance, it's really hard to gear decent as Generator Monk because you just need so good rolls on your items. As for example, on my necklace, it's an anti and it's really good. A lot of people are envy because of this, because it's really good. I also have reduced damage of control impairing effects by 36%. So I hope I covered everything. If I forgot something, just write me a comment and I will answer them as soon as possible. If you have any questions, just state them in the comment section below. And for some footage of the different builds that I played one with Epiphany, I played one with Assimilation. I'm gonna link you the videos in the description from my 94 clear with Epiphany and the 96 clear with Assimilation. Thank you guys for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the content, and see you next time.